are back with comedian David Boyle and I'm quitting alcohol. So this morning I did an interview with a show in the UK called talkRADIO. The host of the show, Mark Dolan, he sent me a message a few days back and said, do you want to come on, talk about boozing, talk about the podcast and all that? He listens to the podcast. So I said, yeah, definitely. That sounds like fun. I was going to mention it on the podcast, but I thought, hey, maybe I'll keep this one quiet just in case I fucking bomb. Just in case I start dropping F-bombs and C-bombs left, right, and center, like the fucking podcast. And it gets awkward, and Mark has to cut me off and throw to a commercial or something. So I was like, I'll let this one be my little secret. And so they called up this morning. I had a great conversation with Mark, who's also a comedian. That just makes it so much fucking easier. When you're speaking to other comedians, it's a completely different thing. Comedians just understand where each other are coming from. Whereas a civilian might ask you a couple of questions about comedy. They don't really understand what the fuck they're talking about. They don't really know what is involved. Comedy is a fucking nightmare. Comedy's 90% of the time just eating shit, getting your ego smashed, overthinking, bitterness. There's a lot of bitterness, a lot of spite. These are all the great comedian traits. And so when you're speaking to another comedian, it's just a lot easier. And Mark was great to have a chat to. He actually listens to the podcast. He knew what it was about. He asked me great questions. Even little things like me saying how hard it is to come up with 5 minutes a fucking day. He understood what the fuck I was talking about. If I was saying that to someone else, they're like, 5 minutes? You're just talking into a microphone for 5 minutes. Is that what it is it? Just talking into a microphone for 5 minutes. Is that how easy this is? I've got about an hour of material that can pretty much do well anywhere in the world. Even in non-English speaking countries, it's worked. And that has taken me 10 years to get to. That's like 6 minutes a year. And you have no fucking idea how many times you have to eat shit and be humiliated to get that amount of time. Normal people don't know. That's why comedians get along with other comedians so well, even if their comedy isn't similar. On the flip side, though, comedians hate other comedians just as much, so there's that too. But in a situation like this, it was very nice to be able to speak to another comedian. It was a fucking great chat I had with Mark Dolan. Go check his radio show out. It's talkRADIO. It's in the UK. Just fucking Google it. It was a great chat, but like the egomaniac, psychotic comedian I am, all I've been doing today is replaying the stupid shit I said on it. I think it was a 20-minute conversation and the majority of it was just fun. But the thing I've been replaying over and over in my head all day is like the last couple of minutes. The last couple of minutes I got a little bit loose. Not swearing or anything, just some of my ideas were starting to slip out. And that's all I can think about. Like if you're doing a gig and there's one person in the second row not laughing, that's all you can think about is that stupid cunt in the second row not laughing. And you'll throw away the entire fucking gig just to make this fucking idiot laugh. And then after the gig, that's all you'll think about. Why wasn't she fucking laughing? Maybe because you open with like 5 consecutive abortion jokes. Do you reckon that's why she's not laughing? Anyway, the last couple of minutes, we start talking about gigging and COVID-19 and getting back into comedy after it's blown over a little bit. And then Mark says something along the lines of, I'm not even too sure if this is how it went down anymore. I've bastardized it so many times in my memory now that it's hard to remember what really happened. So Mark says something along the lines of, you're like me, you're a little bit of a skeptic of the lockdown. And then I cut in and I'm like, I'm a little bit more than a skeptic. What a fucking idiot. I'm a little bit more than a skeptic. And I could feel myself. I was like, oh, where did that come from? What is this feeling welling up inside me? Fucking don't start getting into your theories, Boyle. Don't start philosophizing. And then Mark continues and he asked me a question about like people's mental health while they've been in lockdown. I'm not even too sure what the question was entirely because I already had some words in my head that were coming out regardless of what the fucking question was. I no longer had control of what I was going to say next. And so Mike finishes the question, and I go, do you know what I think? I think there's a little bit of divide and rule going on here. I don't know what part of me said that, but Boyle was in the background going, shut the fuck up. Divide and rule, what are you talking about? You haven't watched the news or read the paper in 2 months. What are you talking about, divide and rule? If you would have told me the day before I was going to be on a UK radio show saying the words divide and rule, I would have been like, nah, that won't happen. I don't drink anymore. Maybe if I was drinking. So I'm like, yeah, feels like divide and rule. A little bit of divide and rule, you know. One side saying this, the other side saying that. You got the mask wearers, you got the guys who don't want to wear the masks. And I'm just listening to myself at this point, just going, fucking pull the brakes on it, David Icke. Ikey, get control. Then I was at the Black Lives Matter protest a few weeks ago, and I'm in the background going, Boyle, don't go here. This could go either way. This could spiral into full-blown racism. I'm like, yeah. So I was at the Black Lives Matter, and the same people who were at the Black Lives Matter, there was like 300,000 people there. The same people that were there protesting were the people a couple of weeks ago saying, don't leave the fucking house, you're a war criminal. And me in the background, I'm just thinking, pull the brakes, Boyle. Pull the brakes. Is there an emergency exit? You need to find the closest exit and bail on this line of thinking before you start talking about the Illuminati and the Rockefellers. And then my closest exit was social media. I was like, yeah, people are spending too much time on social media too. You can feel it. It's not good for their mental health. You can feel the tension. 9/11 was an inside job. Yeah, it's not good for mental health to be on the computer so much. You can really feel it in the streets. Operation Paperclip, do you remember that? And then I think I said something about how the small business is going to deal with it. Like I care about small business. But in all honesty, it is a real fucking hard pill to swallow that you can be out at the Black Lives Matter fucking protest, 300,000 people deep 2 weeks ago, and now there's 25 new cases of coronavirus and everyone has to fucking shelter in place again. It is a real fucking hard pill to swallow. It just looks like a deliberate tanking of the economy to me. It's not even that either. It's the flip-flopping. The same cunts that were demonizing people for leaving the house or wanting to get back to work, who 3 days later flip-flop back to, I want to march at Black Lives Matter. You can't take away my right to protest. Well, now the protesting's done. They've flip-flopped back to, you've got to wear a mask, otherwise you're the devil. Wear a mask. Stay inside. Pretty much to me, it seems like their only agenda is, I don't want to work. And you would think with that sort of agenda, I would be much more on their side than I am. Anyway, if I didn't pull the brakes on it, that's how it could have ended on Talk Radio with Mark Dolan. I just want to give a shout out to Mark Dolan. Thanks for having me. Thanks for getting in contact with me and inviting me on your show. I had a great time. You were a fucking treat to have a chat to. All right, that's it from me tonight. If you're enjoying the podcast, subscribe to it, share it around, tell your friends about it. Add me on social media. These are the key things you need to do with your life. I'm Boyle Comedy on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. That's it for now. I'll see you the fuck later.